Men in Black 3 is a 2012 American 3D science fiction action comedy film directed by Barry Sonnenfeld and starring Will Smith, Tommy Lee Jones, and Josh Brolin. It is the third installment in the Men in Black film series based on Lowell Cunningham's The Men in Black comic book series published by Marvel and Malibu Comics. It was released 15 years after the original Men in Black and 10 years after the first sequel Men in Black 2. Sonnenfeld and Steven Spielberg returned as director and executive producer, respectively. Men in Black 3 received generally positive reviews from critics and became a box office success with a worldwide gross of over $624 million. Before adjusting for inflation, it is also the highest-grossing film in the series. Plot: in 2012, Boris the animal, last of the malevolent troglodytes that consumed all planets in their path, escapes from a lunar prison seeking vengeance on Men in Black agent K, who shot off his left arm and jailed him in 1969. Boris confronts K and his partner Agent J, telling K he is already dead before fleeing. J searches the MIB database when K refuses to discuss his past and discovers Boris committed several murders in 1969 before being captured by K. Agent K then deployed the ArcNet shield around Earth that prevented a troglodyte invasion and starved the race to extinction. Agent O, the new head of MIB after Agent Z's passing, tells J not to probe deeper. That night as K is talking with J on the phone, K vanishes. When J arrives at MIB headquarters looking for K, he finds out no one remembers K ever existed. O shows J a memorial statue of K, who was killed by Boris in 1969. Further discussion reveals the chocolate milk cravings and headaches J is experiencing indicate the presence of a temporal fracture, or a break in the timeline. From the warnings of the approaching troglodyte warships, J deduces Boris time-traveled to July 16, 1969 and succeeded in killing K, thus preventing the ArcNet from ever being installed. J time-travels to the day before K's death to try to save K. In 1969 at Coney Island where the first murder took place, J finds the 1969 Boris and attempts to shoot him but is knocked out by young K. J is taken to 1969 MIB headquarters for questioning and watches in disbelief as K flirts with the 1969 OK prepares to neuralize J until J reveals his mission, convincing K to accept his aid in stopping Boris. They follow clues to Griffin, a fifth-dimensional being who sees multiple timelines simultaneously and current possessor of the ArcNet. At the factory studio party hosted by Andy Warhol, the 1969 Boris attacks. Griffin flees, but not before promising a gift and leaving a hint about a miracle game. J remembers the miracle game of the 1969 World Series took place in Shea Stadium. There they find Griffin, who shares his timeline vision of his favorite moment in human history, when the underdog New York Mets win the World Series. Before Griffin can give them the ArcNet, the 1969 Boris kidnaps him. J and K pursue and rescue Griffin and the ArcNet, but the 1969 Boris escapes and meets his 2012 counterpart. J, K, and Griffin jetpack to Cape Canaveral, Florida, where the ArcNet must be attached to the Apollo 11 rocket so it can be deployed in space. The military police stop them, but Griffin shows a skeptical Colonel the future, convincing him of the agent's importance. The Colonel assists them in reaching the launch site. As the agents climb up the rocket's launch tower, both 1969 Boris and 2012 Boris attack them. Using his time travel device, J evades an attack by 2012 Boris and knocks him off one of the launch tower bridges. K shoots off the 1969 Boris's left arm, knocking him off the tower as well. The ArcNet is attached and deploys successfully, with 2012 Boris being incinerated by the launching rocket's exhaust. K and J both escape to ground level via zipline baskets. Once on the ground, the younger Boris attacks K, only to mortally wound the Colonel who jumped in front of K. K kills Boris since J told him not to take him alive. The Colonel's young son runs to his father but is stopped by K, who uses the neuralizer on the boy and tells him his father is a hero. Observing from afar, J recognizes the boy's pocket watch as it is identical to the one he carries with him. He realizes who the young boy is, who the Colonel is, and that Kay has been watching over him all his life. Jay returns to 2012 with the timeline restored, joins Kay at a diner for pie, and subtly thanks him for all his care. Cast: Will Smith as Agent J, Tommy Lee Jones as Agent K, Josh Brolin as 1969 Agent K, Jermaine Clement as Boris the Animal and 1969 Boris, Emma Thompson as Agent O, the head of MIB after Zed's death, Michael Stuhlbarg as Griffin, Mike Colter as Colonel James Darrell Edwards II. Nicole Scherzinger as Lily Poison, Boris's girlfriend, Michael Chernus as Jeffrey Price, Alice Eve as 1969 Agent O, David Rash as Agent X, the head of MIB in 1969, Will Arnett as Agent AA, Ko-Won Young as Mr. Wu, Bill Hader as Agent W, K.N. Martin as James Darrell Edwards III, Lady Gaga as Alien on TV monitors, Anthony J. Gallo as the four-armed alien, Lenny Veneto as the bowling ball-headed alien, Rick Baker as Brain Alien. Production: The film's premise was first proposed to director Barry Sonnenfeld by Will Smith during the filming of Men in Black 2 in 2002, with Smith suggesting that his character, Agent J, travel back in time to save his partner, Agent K, while at the same time exploring Agent K's backstory. Sonnenfeld said the idea turned out to be a very long process of development, mainly because of the knotting, sick issues of time travel. It was reported that Smith and executives were leery about bringing back Sonnenfeld because of conflicts on the set of Men in Black 2. In a lawsuit filed against his former agents over commissions, Sonnenfeld alleged that Sony considered other directors for Men in Black 3. Sonnenfeld ultimately convinced all involved that he had a strong vision for the film. The film was first announced on April 1, 2009, by Sony Pictures Entertainment president Rory Brewer during a Sony Showlist presentation. By October 2009, Ethan Cohen had been hired to write the screenplay. Sonnenfeld read the script and started working on it in January 2010. As of March 2010, Will Smith remained undecided whether to join this film or another, The City That Sailed. Sonnenfeld in May 2010 confirmed the return of Tommy Lee Jones and Smith. Both had expressed interest in 2008 in reprising their roles. Other staff includes Walter F. Parks and Laurie MacDonald as producers, with Steven Spielberg as executive producer. All were producers of the two previous films. In June 2010, writer David Koepp was hired to rewrite the Coen script. A third writer, Jeff Nathanson, was hired in November 2010 to rewrite the time travel segment of the script in which the story takes place in 1969. Nathanson and Koepp, along with producer Spielberg, had previously worked together on the 2008 film Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Special effects artist Rick Baker created the practical aliens and prosthetic makeup for the film, reprising his role from the previous two Men in Black films. In designing the look for the alien creatures, Baker used the time travel plot device as an excuse to design retro-looking aliens reminiscent of science fiction B-movies of the era, saying, "In 2012 the aliens should look like Men in Black aliens and in 1969 they should be retro aliens." Fishbowl space helmets, guys with spacesuits with ribbed things on it, exposed brains, and bug eyes. Principal photography began on November 16, 2010, even though we knew starting the movie that we didn't have a finished second or third act, director Sonnenfeld said in 2012. Was it responsible? The answer is, if this movie does as well as I think it will, it was genius. If it's a total failure, then it was a really stupid idea. It was originally slated to commence on October 18, 2010, and continue until May 2011, in New York City, with shooting starting in 2010 partly in order to take advantage of a New York tax break in which the state rebates 30% of production costs incurred there. Filming was split into two parts, the first taking place from November until about Christmas 2010. The filmmakers announced shooting would begin again in mid-February, but it was delayed until April. Sonnenfeld initially stated he would be shooting in 3D, but later decided to film in 2D and convert to 3D during post-production. Set photos for the film appeared online on November 17, 2010, showing Smith, Jones, Emma Thompson, and Nicole Scherzinger on set. Shooting was scheduled to resume from March through June 2011. Filming was done in April 2011 in the Morris Park section of the Bronx. Parts of Coney Island, in Brooklyn, had parking and filming permits posted for April 24 and May 2 for 2011, production dates of what the permits titled MIB3. Shooting also took place in Manhattan's Soho neighborhood. For the film, the Ford Taurus SHO was selected as the MIB's official car, replacing the Ford Limited Crown Victoria and Mercedes-Benz E-Class from the first two films. For the 1969 scenes, a 1964 Ford Galaxy was used as the MIB's official car. This is the first time Frank the Pug was absent in a Men in Black movie, as well as Chief Zed, Jack Japes, and the actor David Cross. However, Zed is written in the story as having died and immortalized at MIB headquarters, and a portrait of Frank can also be seen in Jay's apartment. An advertisement for the Incredible Speaking Pug can be seen as Agent Jay enters Coney Island during his travel in 1969. Release: under distribution by Columbia Pictures, the film was released on May 25, 2012 in theaters. The film is rated PG-13 by MPAA for sci-fi action violence and brief suggestive content. The film is rated PG by the British Board of Film Classification for mild language, innuendo and fantasy violence. The film is rated M by Australian Classification Board for science fiction violence. Home media: the film was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray 3D on November 30, 2012, and is part of the Men in Black Trilogy limited edition gift set with Worm figurine on Blu-ray. Marketing: video game, Activision has released MIB, Alien Crisis on May 22, 2012 for Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and Nintendo Wii. It features a never-before-seen MIB agent instead of Agent J or Agent K. Gameloft also developed a mobile phone video game based on the film released on May 17, 2012, for iOS and Android. Music: the soundtrack for the film was composed by Danny Elfman and was released on May 29, 2012, 4 days after the film's release. Back in Time by rapper Pitbull was originally released as the first single from the soundtrack on March 26, 2012. It is the first lead single for a Men in Black soundtrack not performed by Will Smith. The song plays during the end credits but was not featured on the soundtrack album. All music composed by Danny Elfman. Reception: critical response: Men in Black 3 received positive reviews from film critics. The film currently holds a 70% fresh approval rating on the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes with an average rating of 6.1/10, based on an aggregation of 227 reviews. The consensus states, "It isn't exactly a persuasive argument for the continuation of the franchise but Men in Black 3 is better than its predecessor and manages to exceed expectations, largely due to Josh Brolin's impressive performance." It has a score of 58 on Metacritic based on 38 reviews, indicating mixed or average reviews. Roger Ebert gave the film 3 out of 4 stars, in particular praising Josh Brolin's role as the young Agent K, which he cites as an excellent example of good casting. Ebert also praised the ingenious plot, bizarre monsters, audacious cliffhanging, and the virtuoso final sequence. Richard Roeper gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars while saying, "It's that rare threequel that doesn't suck. Great special effects, surprising amount of heart." A.O. Scott of the New York Times also gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars and commented, "Men in Black 3 arrives in the multiplexes of the world with no particular agenda. Which may be part of the reason that it turns out to be so much fun." Lisa Schwartzbaum of Entertainment Weekly noted, "Sonnenfeld and Cohen move their baby along with an integrity and gait that ought to serve as a blueprint for other filmmakers faced with the particular challenges of reviving big-ticket and time-dated hunks of pop culture." Rafa Guzman of Newsday wrote, "The franchise is no longer the zenith of blockbusterism, and the gooey effects from Hollywood veteran Rick Baker look overly familiar, but Men in Black 3 remains an amiable comedy with some fondly familiar faces." Director Paul Thomas Anderson praised the film, saying, "It was, expletive great. The time travel stuff, made me cry my eyes out. I'm a sucker for that stuff. Conversely, Renee Rodriguez of the Miami Herald gave it 1 out of 4 stars and stated, Men in Black 3 is so dull and empty, it's the first movie that has ever made me think thank God this is in 3D. Box office, MIB3 has earned $179,020,854 in North America, as of September 9, 2012, and $445,005,922 in other countries, as of August 19, 2012, for a worldwide total of $624,026,776. It had a worldwide opening weekend of $189.9 million. It made the biggest worldwide IMAX Memorial Day weekend, surpassing the previous record of Pirates of the Caribbean, on Stranger Tides. In North America, MIB3 earned $1.55 million during its midnight run from 2,233 locations. On its opening day, the film debuted at the top of the box office and grossed $17.7 million. This was slightly lower than the opening day grosses of its predecessors. During its 3-day opening weekend, it topped the box office with $54.6 million, which was higher than the opening weekends of the 2 previous films. The movie then earned an additional $14.7 million on Memorial Day, bringing its 4-day weekend total to $69.3 million. The opening weekend audience was 54% male and 56% over the age of 25. The film received a B+ cinema score. It remained in first place at the North American box office for 1 week. Outside North America, MIB3 is the highest-grossing film of the franchise and the 10th highest-grossing 2012 film. It made $135.3 million on its opening weekend from 85 territories. Its highest-grossing openings were recorded in China, and Russia and the CIS. It was in first place at the box office outside North America for 2 consecutive weekends. Possible sequel: both Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones have said that they would consider appearing in a Men in Black 4. Jones said it would be easy to pick up where we left off. We know what we are doing, we know how to do it. It's just a hell of a lot of fun. In July 2012, Columbia chief executive Doug Belgrad said, "We're very pleased with the financial performance of Men in Black 3, and we believe it is an ongoing franchise. We're going to do another one, but we don't have clarity yet on how it should be done." Barry Sonnenfeld said, "Will's kind of really smart, but as I said, kind of really annoying, too much energy. When he would get too rambunctious, I would tell him save that for Men in Black 4, Will is out and, his son Jaden Smith is in a Euro. If we continue on this path, it won't be released until 2032 but it'll be damn good." Will Smith said that, "Jaden is already 13 years old, so he's at that mythological boy's age, a Euro. It's time for his bro mitzvah. So he's right at that place. He's ready to test me so he can't come anywhere near my movies right now." In early 2013, Oren Yoziel was writing a Men in Black 4 screenplay for Sony Pictures. References. External links. Official website, Men in Black 3 at the Internet Movie Database, Men in Black 3 at AllMovie, Men in Black 3 at Box Office Mojo, Men in Black 3 at Rotten Tomatoes, Men in Black 3 at Metacritic, Men in Black 3 at The Numbers, Men in Black 3 at Movies to Watch.